Hi everybody, welcome back to A Creative Cast, where a creative cast of people talk about creative things. I'm your host Cali, and today I have with me...
Chris.
And Marshaun.
Yeah! You know, all the same people I always have. I should stop introducing myself as the host, just all of us.
I mean, it leaves it open.
Yeah!
Someday it'll just be you.
No! Don't say that! No!
Just be you in the podcast.
No!
Today I have with me nobody. It's just me. Just Cali.
Hey, I mean, solo podcasts are great. I listen to several.
I don't think anyone wants to listen to me talk for that long.
I would.
Aw, thanks,
You
Chris.
just uploaded a video of you talking for that long.
It was 30 minutes, not an hour.
Well, you know, 2 of those videos.
Just rewatch it.
Watch it twice.
And watch it twice. But yeah.
Speaking of watching things twice, you know what I want to watch twice?
What a segue.
Golly gee, what do you want to watch twice there?
I want to watch LUCA twice.
Me too!
LUCA?
LUCA!
What's LUCA, guys?
Oh my god, it's the new sensation sweeping the
This
nation.
movie came out months ago.
It's so good, and we're so late to it.
Yeah, LUCA, great Pixar movie. Wonderful.
Fantastic.
Very good movie.
Very, very good movie. Screw all the people that says it's bad. You do not know what you're talking about, and we're gonna tell you why. I'm sorry,
Yes.
we watched a review before this just to see what other people were saying, and this guy ripped on the movie, and I'm just still mad about it. I'm not gonna call him out, even though I want to. I'm just mad.
Yeah.
I'm so mad.
Yeah, we all generally had positive reception of the movie.
Very positive.
It's a really fun movie.
Yeah, it was fun. It was such a good, wholesome vibe. Like definitely 10 out of 10 would recommend to anybody for just a good, wholesome movie to watch.
Yeah.
It had those Ghibli vibes without ever really feeling like a Ghibli movie. Or it was trying to be a Ghibli movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I loved the look of it, the story. The animation was really cool. We'll get into all of it. But yeah, overall, fantastic.
I agree, absolutely.
Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna shove this right here because my computer fan is being very loud, and I'm hoping that's gonna help. Anyway, yes.
So, let's start the conversation with what you expected going into the movie.
Ooh.
Because I don't think I expected much, to be honest.
Low-key, yeah. I was expecting it to be, a fun, cute movie. Because, I had seen some of the, some of the, really early art that came out for it. I had seen the trailers. And I was just like, wow, this looks like a really fun, cute fish out of water story. Haha, nudge wink, ha ha ha. Puns always intended. Puns always intended. God. Anyway. Yeah, and, I got what I asked for, and so much more. It's not like it's a story we haven't seen before, but it's just done so well. Like I said this after we had watched it. We watched it a week ago to the day. And I said it then, too, it's a story that we've seen before, but it's just done so well. Kind of like How to Train Your Dragon. That's, the first movie. We've seen that story done before, the outcast who does cool things and whatever. But, they just did it so well. It feels fresh. It feels new. With the characters, their interactions, the beautiful art, the animation, the expressions, just everything about the delivery was just so good. Marshaun?
I thought the film was really, really good. It was a lot of fun. It was visually very striking. Going into it, I guess I didn't really have very high expectations at all. I didn't have any expectations at all because I'd only seen one trailer. And I try to go into films as blind as possible to try to my first impression, I want to be like my genuine impression, so I don't really want to go into the movie with too many thoughts. But sitting through it and like, well, not sitting through it, but like sitting in on it and really enjoying it for the first time was a great experience. So like, yeah, I really like this movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, as far as expectations, I didn't really have too much going in. I was blown out of.
Say it.
Say it.
I was blown out of the water.
Yes.
By how exciting this movie wound up being.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out why I didn't have like crazy expectations going into it, because usually when I go into a Pixar movie, I'm, super excited. I know what Pixar is capable of and have the high expectations. But something I wanted to ask you guys was, and part of the reason why I don't think I had high expectations going into it, because I don't think it has the look of a traditional Pixar movie.
For sure.
Which I don't know if that played into my expectations, where my brain was like, oh, this doesn't look like a Pixar movie, so I shouldn't have the same thought process going into it as I do Pixar movies. I don't know.
Perhaps. Because, I remember sometime, I think right before we watched the movie, we watched a trailer. And, Marshaun, I think it was you that mentioned that the animation had a very Wallace and Gromit feel.
Yeah, it felt a lot more like Wallace and Gromit. Especially, or even specifically, just the way that they move their mouths.
Yeah!
The way that tongues are drawn and stuff like that. Just, that and, they have very snappy, quick animation, very, kind of stop-motion feeling character designs, where everything feels like it could have just kind of been molded together by hand. It just felt like Wallace and Gromit. It just reminded me a lot of those films.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, some of the very specific ways they did character animation and the facial animation. Shout out to the animations of them impersonating the dolphin noises.
Yeah. That was very fun.
I am so curious what those rigs look like for the characters to be able to do that. It's just not a very Pixar thing to do that exaggerated of a character performance. It's almost like I don't know, Cartoon Network-y in a way, where they'll think about Courage the Cowardly Dog. Or,
oh yeah. Where they'll completely change the face.
Yeah.
Yeah. To completely break the model.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Hotel Transylvania has a lot of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, Hotel Transylvania does that a lot.
It's it mimics a lot of very classic 2D slapstick animation and stuff like that with 3D models and rigs. And everything is just so stretchy, and the models break in so many interesting ways. I'm just how did they make this happen?
Right? Because it's always so visually interesting. And I really like the Hotel Transylvania movies. We should watch those. But yeah, it's they do a similar thing to that, where it just it has that 2D feel, but it's
the squash and stretch is so extreme.
Yes.
Yeah. I really appreciated while it did have kind of this throwback stop motion feel to it, it was still very, very pretty.
Yes.
All of the textures and all of the the lighting, the rendering, all of the underwater scenes look great.
Yeah, it was, oh my goodness, so pretty.
Yeah. Something I wanted to touch on that aspect was the water simulation in this, specifically versus the water simulation in Raya.
Raya or Moana?
In Raya.
Okay.
Gotcha.
I think if you watched our discussion on Raya, we talked about how the simulation felt disjointed from the movie, whereas I feel like everything felt very
uniformly stylized.
yeah, yeah. Even though like the water was realistically simulated, it still had a stylized vibe to it that I appreciate, that level of meticulousness.
Yeah, for sure. And also, like, I feel like Pixar, like, kind of going off of that, really showed, like, with every Pixar movie, they always, like, up their game. They always, like, do something new, something crazy, something cool with it. And I feel like they really kind of showed just how much, like, they can do in terms of style. Like, they stylized everything differently, but it still looked fun and beautiful and cute and new and homey and wholesome and nice. But they also, like you said, with, like, the way the lighting was and, like, the scenery, because, again, spoilers, well, I didn't say that yet, but you know. Towards the end of the, well, middle to end of the movie, where, like, the boys, Alberto and Luca, are having that fight on the beach, and Luca rises out of the water, that's filmed, like, that's shot very intimidatingly.
Mm.
Like, the way that's shot, it feels like a monster rising out of the ocean. Mm. Just, like, with the light coming behind him and, like, the slow motion, like, the way his head turns, it feels intimidating. Mm-hmm. And I feel like Pixar, like, I don't know, I just wasn't expecting that. It just really added to, like, the oomph of that scene. I was like, damn, they did cute and cool, and now they're doing a little creepy. Got that?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of that has to do with the camera angle of that shot. Setting the camera angle lower than the character to, mm-hmm. you know, staging them in that position.
Camera angle, lighting, definitely. I mean, it was a sunset that was turning into a storm. Mm-hmm. So the clouds rolling in from behind Alberto, by the way, not Luca, rolling in behind Alberto, was really just having this big storm brewing, quote unquote. This foreshadowing that things are about to get. Well, things are already heavy, but things are getting heavier and heavier, and they're coming to a climax of sorts. Just amazing visual storytelling in this whole movie. Like everything they were going for, everything they were looking to do, all of these like very specific little jokes and emotions, they just nail in the head every time. Yeah. And I think that speaks to the quality of Pixar films. But like we were saying, it seems like so many of the movies, and not to bring up Raya on purpose, but like that was another film that was just like, let's just throw all of this realistic, this stylistically shiny and gritty kind of stuff at us, and everything just keeps. It looks like we're always pushing the budget with these films, but like this, Luca didn't feel like it was pushing the budget. Luca did not feel like it was trying to be the next big summer blockbuster. Luca was not trying to be this massive world-ending, great huge adventure. It's a very intimate story about two characters and their lives in this small disjointed area, and that's cool. And that's okay. It's okay to have these quiet movies, these quiet moments, because everything entertaining doesn't always have to be like these huge explosions or the most beautifully rendered things, shining pixels in your face. Sometimes it's just
4K, 60 frames per second.
Exactly.
Shit.
Sometimes it's just a nice, intimate story that makes you feel good, and that's all it has to be. Yeah. I feel like some people were expecting a big movie, like that reviewer we were watching. And they went into it with that mindset, but not quite the mindset of a tiny movie, like a small personal movie.
Yeah.
But that's important. You got to know what you're getting into. You got to, with these trailers and everything. I mean, like we said, I was trying to keep away from getting too much information, but I could tell just looking at it what type of story it was trying to be. Mm-hmm. But we're quote unquote professionals. So obviously we know what we're looking at when we see it. For the most part.
For the most part.
Yeah. Yeah. I like the story, like the scale of the story. I think it fits the medium of, the hour-and-a-half movie very well.
It was 2 hours.
Was it?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Didn't feel like it.
No, it didn't.
No, it just sucks you in. You don't even realize it.
Yeah, no, it really sucked us in.
Yeah, but yeah. On that note, just like having like a smaller story to explain for a smaller medium, as opposed to, let's say, a large expansive story like Avatar that's stretched across a series. We've been talking about that a lot.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like this movie fit very well in its time frame, and it was very comfortably paced out. And I mean, like, obviously in the story they talk about exploring the world and all that stuff, but it's still, like, they're still obviously going to do that, but it feels like this story came to a very conclusive and kind of happy end, and also a little ambiguous, which is okay. And I feel like that's something that doesn't always happen in these kinds of movies, like in these coming of age movies. Like, they often like to wrap things up with a nice bow, like, oh, and they all lived happily ever after, but real life isn't that simple, and sometimes you grow apart from your friends, or sometimes you gotta go and do your own thing, even if that means leaving your friends behind. But that's okay, because that doesn't, just because you're not physically together doesn't mean you're not still friends. You'll still be together. You'll just, like, you're gonna see each other again someday, and that's something to look forward to. And until you see them, then they'll still be in your heart and in your mind with, like, your memories and all the good times you had. They're still somebody that shaped you as a person, and that's something nobody can take away from you.
Yeah, this movie did do a good job of, like, capturing the idea of, like, a fleeting life moment.
Yeah.
And like a lesson to be learned from it.
Yeah.
More so than, like, a full, complete, life journey.
I actually really appreciated that phrasing.
Fleeting moment.
Yeah, a fleeting life moment, or a fleeting moment in life. I feel like that's the core of coming of age stories, at least the ones I like the most. Like I think my very first favorite movie of all time, it's probably not my favorite now, but, like, it's definitely one of my favorites still, was The Sandlot. And I've always loved movies like The Sandlot, which are just, like, about kids having fun. Just, like, living a couple summer days before school starts up again, and just, like, getting into stupid, wacky adventures, and just living life. These slice of life, these coming-of-age style stories. And LUCA really captures that, like, spent all day working on something stupid and just sweaty and tired at the end of the day watching a sunset with a buddy kind of feel. Like, that long day of just enjoying yourself and then just passing out because you've just been doing crazy weird stuff all day. Like, that end of the summer feeling comes through so warmly in this film, and I love it.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, a lot of that comes from the pacing of the first half of the movie.
Yeah.
Like, there isn't, I feel like what would be considered, like, the initiating action?
The inciting incident?
Yeah, inciting incident, I feel like doesn't come until very late in the movie.
Like, around the middle.
Yeah.
Like the middle of the second act.
Yeah. Like, imagine it's like Finding Nemo, but
Nemo
doesn't get lost until, like, an hour in.
Yeah. But, like, it doesn't feel like that time is wasted, though, because, like, we get to see Luca and Alberto having fun and living life and exploring, like, themselves in the world, and just...
We get to learn essential things about these characters.
Yeah!
Which is something we didn't get with Raya.
Yes! Yes.
We didn't get the time to really sit and learn who these people are. With this movie, it's just like the whole first section of it is just learning who our two main characters are and what they do all day and why they want to do things together.
Yeah, and like establishing their friendship and their bond, so you feel for them more when they eventually part.
Exactly.
Sorry, I'm thinking about the train scene again.
The train scene.
Oh, we'll get back to
So
that.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I want to jump back to near the beginning of the movie where they're underwater.
E.
I don't know why this is where I want to jump back to, but maybe we can get into this. Character designs.
Uh-huh.
The uncle.
Oh, just punch him right in the heart.
Like, it was so strange. He was comic relief, but also...
Nightmare fuel?
Yeah.
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 Like, I feel like he doesn't really fit the trope of either of those two things, like antagonist or comic relief. Like, I don't know what he was.
He's just a guy. He's just a guy.
It was such a bizarre moment, in my opinion.
It was such a bizarre moment. It was such bizarre comedy. Weird character acting, but, like, not bad, just odd. Just
Yeah.
kind of, like, out of nowhere, really got me off guard.
Yeah. I mean, like, I guess it kind of helps you feel... I mean, obviously you don't want LUCA to be taken away anyway, but to have him, like, get taken away with a weirdo dude, that's,
Yeah.
like, that just makes you feel extra, like, oh no, this is not cool.
Yeah. I think maybe they did that on purpose to give you a feeling that of, like, a weird uncle.
Yeah.
It's like a relative that is just uncomfortable.
Yeah. Just that weird uncle vibe. It's like, oh, okay.
At the end of the day, it was really just meant to represent, like, he had to go somewhere he didn't want to go. And, like, it's comic in the sense that you're not fearing for Luca's life, but at the same time, it's weird enough that you're like, the main character definitely doesn't want to do this because I don't want to do this. Like, I don't want to see the rest of this movie in that location.
Yeah.
So I really hope we don't get sucked into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was also... Yeah, I guess it was fairly
I can't believe they had him.
grotesque for a Pixar movie.
Yeah, because, like, not only could you see inside him, which, like, would be fine on its own, but they had Luca punch his heart! Like, his heart just stops in the middle of a conversation, and they're just like, oh, Luca, just punch him right in the heart. Yeah, see that red thing there? Yeah, just punch that. No, really punch it, son! It's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Oh my god!
It was very strange. Like, I didn't hate it. It was just very strange.
So weird. Ugh.
I like my dark comedy in my in my Disney movies.
Yes, gotta love it.
So, he was a standout character.
Yeah.
In terms of just, like, I guess being memorable. Like, I don't know, I wouldn't say he's my favorite character design.
Oh no, he was my favorite character in film history, really.
Uncle, what's his face? Uncle See-Through.
Did you guys have, like, favorite character designs or moments or...
I like that Luca's hair, like his biggest little curl in the front of his
Yeah.
head looks like a croissant. That's my favorite thing about this whole movie. Just a little croissant.
No, croissant?
He's a little cinnamon roll.
It's kind of hard to pick one. Um,
Or maybe just something you like. Maybe
Oh,
not
Bruno
maybe
was my favorite character.
oh, Bruno. Silencio, Bruno!
Silencio, Bruno!
Silencio, Bruno!
That whole scene was just all of the character animation, all the acting in that scene, that was great.
That was so goddamn cute. So cute.
It was
We
great.
didn't die! Yeah. Let me think. What was I gonna do?
Did you have a favorite character, Chris?
Aside from Uncle See-Through.
Yeah, aside from Uncle See-Through, like an actual favorite.
By the way, I don't know if that's his name. That's just what I'm calling him.
Yeah, I forget what his name is. Well, favorite character design. I'll know if he's my favorite, but the dad. What's the guy's name?
Julia?
Julia's dad.
Yeah.
Yeah, he stood out as like a really interesting character design because like you can't really see his facial expressions because they're just covered by eyebrows and mustache
and just a massive chin.
Yes.
His face is 70% chin.
And his cat has a matching mustache.
Yes. Yeah. Julia's dad and the cat.
Oh my god.
Great pair.
Great background characters.
Oh my god. Oh, the scene when the cat gets thrown into the ocean.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was so funny.
Little moments like that you don't see coming, they really just bust your gut.
Yeah.
Oh, something that I really liked about the dad. I loved his overall design, but I loved that not like he was missing an arm and he makes the joke. He's just like, oh yeah, I lost it to a sea monster. Just kidding. I was just brought into the world this way. And I love that for two reasons. One, he's having fun with it. He's making the joke that probably the whole cast was thinking. But two, I like that subtle representation.
Mm-hmm.
I like that.
Yeah.
Some solid good representation there.
Yeah. It was cool to see. And I feel like that it's always nice to have those things subtly in movies with even in movies that's not the main focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's refreshing.
Yeah. Yeah. I just really liked that. That was a nice moment.
It definitely struck me when that happened. I was just like, oh, they're really just, we're going to bring attention to it because eventually, we're going to have to find out how did this character lose their arm. It's like a Chekhov's gun. It's a type of story beat. You see that this character doesn't have an arm. You see that he likes to fish a lot. He clearly has a hatred of fish. Or not a hatred, but he's clearly got some kind of vendetta. And this whole area has something against sea monsters, so you're like, okay, this character lost his arm. How did it happen? We have to know as audience members. Then we just find out, he's just born like that. And that's it. It's not a story plot. It's not a story beat anymore. It's just he's just born like that.
Yeah, because I think we were also talking about how, they very easily could have had it where, it's Alberto's dad was killed by the humans and that guy lost his arm to the sea monsters and that's why there's this huge vendetta. And it was no, his arm was just like that. Alberto's dad just left. It's real shit.
Yeah. Yeah. It felt very, relatable and, nuanced.
Yes.
Which was, a whole thing about this movie was that there's, nuance to all of the characters.
Mm-hmm.
That's really refreshing to see.
Yes, a lot of nuance, a lot of relatability. Because, even though, that storyline would have been a lot more dramatic, the simpler storyline feels a lot more real and relatable.
Simple subversion seems to be the way this film goes.
Yeah.
They have very simple answers to obvious questions, but that doesn't make the film any less interesting. In fact, that just kind of helps you relax with the film. Like I was saying before, it just kind of this movie has so much of this chill aesthetic that it's it never really wants you to get too scared.
Yeah.
you get to the points that to go up and down, you get to these emotional climaxes and everything and you feel it, but the movie's never just trying to scare you out of your pants or anything. It's never trying to go anywhere physically that's too crazy. But in the minds of characters and their imaginations, they reach the stars and they get really silly and really fantastical.
Yeah.
But then you get back to the world and it's a little more grounded, even though it's a cartoon and it's very colorful. It's so many bouncing aesthetics here and there, and yeah.
They just make it work so well.
Good movie. Good song.
Such a good movie.
Yeah. What you just said, this is kind of off topic, but it reminded me of the new Lord album, singer-songwriter Lord. A lot of people are critiquing it because it has a more chill vibe, or like kind of summery, uplifting vibe.
Right.
And it doesn't have that heavy darkness that her last two albums did.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that kind of critique is what some people are critiquing this movie for, is because it's too, like...
juvenile, I guess you could say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like... It's not gritty, but yeah.
Oh my god.
Well, the word gritty isn't quite it, but it's not...
Yeah.
I guess it's not as realistic.
Okay.
I'm not really sure. Mature, I guess, is another word, because if you use juvenile to describe it, yeah, it's not quote-unquote mature. People... You have to remember, in our, like, society, cartoons are considered immature by a lot of people. So... any animated film, regardless of what it's about, even if it's like, you know, the Deadpool series that was supposed to come out that was going to be like very bloody.
Harley Quinn.
And then, yeah, I was getting into that. The fact that we got the Harley Quinn series afterwards, which allows itself to swear, which allows itself to go into more mature areas, people still look at it and see that it is animation, and animation is equated to children, which is crazy because of the thousands of adults, men and women, doing all of this fantastic work for our entertainment. They put years into what only amounts to an hour of entertainment for us, which is years of their lives, and yet we still consider it to be lesser art or lesser entertainment, which is just silly.
Yeah.
We could do a whole podcast on that, because, like, honestly, yeah, it just makes me mad. Just, like, animation is such a fantastic medium. Like, I remember... I don't remember which movie it was for, but I was watching a behind the scenes for an animated film, and somebody made the question, like, oh, why wouldn't you do this in live action? And the guy was like, well, it would cost the same to film this, to do these scenes in live action versus animation. But if we do it in animation, we can do anything, and we don't have to worry about actors getting hurt. We don't have to worry about, like, getting the golden hour. We can do literally anything. Like, literally. And, like, with animation, the possibilities are endless. And not just for kids, for adults. You can do so many amazing things with animation for, like, adult media. With, like, more serious plot lines, swearing. It's just, there's so much potential, and it's just, it breaks my heart so often to see people just brush anything animated off to the side, especially when people are trying so hard to show that it's more than just a cartoon. Thank you.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. Okay, that's a whole side tangent. I'm done.
Yeah, I think we should probably do a whole other podcast on that, because there's a lot to go into on it.
For sure. God, I didn't even talk about Hazbin Hotel, or Hell of a Boss.
We'll put a note in that.
Yeah, put a pin in that for later.
Yeah.
Back to Luca, back to the child.
Speaking of things that get us heated, what are things that we disliked about this movie? I have one very niche thing.
Ooh.
Kind of connected to the character design conversation. I didn't like the design of Luca's mom as a human.
Their human designs were very generic.
Yeah.
But her design specifically didn't utilize the same shapes I feel like her husband did, because he felt so animated.
Yeah,
and so
I thought the husband was fine. I think he had that really weird face shape.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Which was, recognizable, but I feel like her face was, I don't know, I kind of forgot the character often.
Yeah, she just kind of looked like a normal person.
Yeah.
Which I guess is the point?
Yeah, I wonder if there's a point to it. Like, is it that she is supposed to look as normal, quote unquote, as possible to, reflect her values, or like, I don't know, maybe.
Perhaps.
I hadn't thought about that one, actually, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she's supposed to look like the traditional character because she's a traditional character.
I hadn't thought about that, but maybe.
It's an interesting idea. And part of the reason why I didn't like her design, the host of the race had a very similar design, and I got the two characters confused.
Oh, yeah. I see what you mean. Yeah, they do look pretty. It was their face shape.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. That was just like one very niche negative that I had about the movie.
They didn't push the female face shapes enough.
At least with like the important character, because like some of the side female characters had some interesting face shapes. But yeah, I was gonna say and like kind of going off of that in terms of like the story with the parents, like it starts off very typical with like the parents, what's it called? Being like, oh no, our child is drifting from the norm, we must send him away for his own good and hurdy-durdy-dur. But like...
It seemed like an abrupt answer to that question.
A little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because like, they didn't immediately pounce on him. They realized that he was doing this over and over again, and I feel like they could have stayed to talk to him at least once or twice. But I don't know, I kind of appreciated like their subplot and like kind of slowly understanding what their son is about and what he's doing and why he's doing it, and like what being in the human world means to him. Mm-hmm. And like I also appreciate that they kind of were playing into like, as you said, their traditional roles, especially in the beginning where like the dad was aloof and the mom was all mom, and then and then as the story progressed, like they even like sat down and talked to each other. He was just like, I wasn't being present enough and I should have been more there and helped out more as a dad. And she was like, and I was too harsh just sending him away. I mean, what was I thinking? I was just scared. And I kind of like that moment because I feel like it plays a lot into how human, I mean, I guess, I know they're sea monsters, but like how hard it is to be a parent and how you make mistakes. Sometimes you get caught up in other things. Sometimes you're so surprised you don't know what to do or how to handle your kid, and what you think is right isn't, but you're just a bigger kid trying your best not to let this thing die. Yeah. And make sure it doesn't turn into a serial killer. Like, the pressure's really on.
Yeah. The depiction of the parents as like their story arc, I guess, like realizing that they have faults too.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was really well done.
It didn't dehumanize parents as like a figure in the lives of children, and that's what's also I feel like important, regardless of what metaphors or hidden meanings may or may not be in this film. It's important to know that in most cases your parents are on your side and they're not trying to do anything to hurt you, and unfortunately obviously that's not the case for maybe everyone, but this movie wasn't trying to push kids away from their families, like make them run away. A film about runaways should never give kids the idea that it's okay to run away, and you should. Yeah. This film took a moment to be like, yeah, the parents are an antagonist of sorts, but they're not quote unquote human. You know, you should still be able to trust them and talk to them at some points and like hash things out. But miscommunication happens, and then things like this, like the plot of the film, like running away from home, these things happen as well.
Yeah. And like, I don't know, now that I think about it, like this is the second piece of media that I've seen recently that came out recently that kind of has this like, hey, like maybe running away isn't all it's cracked up to be, and maybe you should just talk to your parents. Because Owl House kind of had a similar thing where, spoilers for season 2 episode, I don't know, but Luce finally gets to talk to her mom again, and it's this really heartbreaking moment, because her mom's just like, was I really that awful to you that you chose to leave? And Luce is just like, it wasn't you, like, I was just going through things, and it was just all messed up, and it's, like you said, parents are usually on your side. Good parents are on your side. And even though it's hard to articulate things, especially when you're younger, just try to come to a compromise. Like, And I appreciate that the parents come around and, like, let Luca do what he wants. Not, like, in the sense, like, oh, letting the child do whatever he wants. But, like, he wants to learn. He wants to explore. He wants to see the world. Those are pretty cool things for a kid to want. Encourage that. Let him expand his horizons. Let the kid learn how to read.
Yeah. Yeah. The
Learn Italian.
Learn Italian.
Silenzio, Bruno.
Silenzio.
The
Stupido.
whole like metaphor of like astronomy. Yeah. Luca's love for astronomy.
Yes.
And like literally going like reaching for the stars.
Yeah.
Like oh, and hold on, my brain's going to 10,000 different places because the sequences where he's like in the planets and like, you know, where he's like daydreaming off and like what he wishes for his life, like those sequences were so good.
Right.
Like visually, how vibrant they were, and the colors, and how the animation style like shifted a little bit.
Yeah, no, I love the scene with like the fish in the sky and he was just running with them. That was so goddamn cute and pretty. I was like, I want to draw this.
The animators had a moment to like really flex their muscles in that scene.
Yeah.
And I remember all the Vespas.
The Vespas! Oh my god.
Anytime an imaginary Vespa is on screen, it is the best thing.
It is. Oh my god. Also, just how excited they were about getting that beat up old Vespa. They were so jazzed.
Yeah.
They were ready to live their best lives. Oh my god.
Yeah, it really... I think the movie did a great job of displaying the like grand imagination that anyone, I was going to say kids, but anyone can have, and like...
Well, especially in the eyes of the child. Remember that what he was imagining is what he thinks the world looks like. A world he's never seen before. So, like, that kind of incredible explosion of imagination from someone who's literally never seen anything is really, really funny, because it's also just fantastical with the Vespas in the sky and whatever the hell he must imagine the rings on Saturn are made of. There's a lot of fun stuff in there.
Yeah.
But sorry for cutting you off.
Yeah. No, that's exactly what I was going to say. But going back, the metaphor of the stars and like reaching for the stars, I feel like that was just like such a smart metaphor for them to put in the movie. Like, I don't know how early along in the story development the fact that he was interested in astronomy was, but like it was just such a fitting thing. Like he could have been interested in farming.
Well, he was
already
farming.
a farm.
Yeah.
He's a shepherd.
Sure.
Yeah.
He could have, yeah, but all that to say, it was just like, I don't know, it fit into the movie so well.
It really did. Yeah. I really like that whole like reaching for the stars metaphor and just like...
I mean, more than anything, like we've already said, like the movie's about growing up. It's about growing up and figuring out who you are. That's fucking coming of age story. And yeah, just going through the imagination, like I said, of a kid who's just like never seen anything, and giving them or pushing this idea that you can do anything is, I think that's really important developmental information. Like, a movie like this would have blown my mind even more so than it did when I was, like, 12 or younger. Just, like, the anything that, like, pushed the idea of, like, you could do anything if you just work for it, or, well, do what you have to do. Do what you have to do to find those answers, to get to where you want to go.
Yeah.
That's always been, like, super inspiring, and it's just, like, another great thing to this movie. That it was just very inspiring.
There was one back and forth between Luca and Julia that I really appreciated about this topic, was where Luca was saying, like, there's a star, what's beyond that? A galaxy, what's beyond that? A universe. And then he asked what's beyond a universe, and then Julia was like, I don't know, but I can't wait to find out.
Yeah!
It was like such a clever way to kind of, I guess, like, illustrate the discovery of, like, different things and, like, growing up, different phases, reaching different levels, quote, in life. I just absolutely love that moment.
Yeah, that was a really cute, wholesome moment they had.
Discovering curiosity.
Mm-hmm.
We should watch this movie again.
We totally
Let's just, podcast over. We're just going to watch the movie again.
We're just going to react to the movie. That's the rest of the podcast.
Round 2.
Here for another 2 hours. Round 2, LUCA edition.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
I'd be down. Oh my god, I would be so down.
Which reminds me, what was the next movie we were going to do?
I really wanted to watch Vivo.
Vivo, yes, Lin-Manuel Miranda.
Yes. Cause, like, I don't know, it seems interesting, it looks pretty, but, like, I mean, it's Lin-Manuel Miranda, of course the songs are a bop, but on the Sony Animation Instagram, they had a remix of one of the songs, on it, and I listened to it, and it's just so goddamn catchy, and I'm like, alright, you had my curiosity, now you have my attention, I'll watch the movie. It's time. But yeah, it was just such a bop of a movie. But also, if any of you have any recommendations of something you want us to, like, critique or watch or anything, be sure to leave it in the comments or something.
Leave it in the comments.
Yeah. Are we gonna talk about the gay?
Oh. Yeah, let's
briefly let's touch on the gay.
the gay.
The gay.
So, a hot topic with this movie is whether or not it is a gay story, or whether or not Luca and Alberto are gay.
It's a homosexual metaphor.
Yeah. And I'm trying to figure out how to say this, because, like, yes,
Yes.
but it's not what the movie's about. So,
But then, what is it about?
well,
Well, that's an interesting question too, actually. That's an interesting question because
Because if it's not about their gay love, then what is it about? Like, if it's not, if you're gonna say friendship, then you mean relationship.
no, I think it's about pursuing your inner truth and I guess the relationships with other people and how that relates to finding your inner truth.
And, like, how that can change as you grow up.
Yeah. Because I think that, like, the movie, you can insert a bunch of different metaphors into it. I like how it's kept kind of loose in that way. Yeah, I don't think it's strictly about sexuality, which is nice.
I agree with that. I agree with that because based off of what we know that I guess the director said about the film, about how it's like we were going into it with the mindset of like pre-relationships and more just about friendships and relationships, like in that sense, more platonic relationships. When I go into films like these, about like I said, those summer vibes, those when you're young and just like growing up and coming of age stories, I try to think of it outside of the realm of romance, and if they incorporate it into the story, then I'm like, okay, cool, fine. That's a part of growing up. But more often than not, I kind of prefer these stories when they don't really have too much romance in them. Because as much as I think shipping is very cute, as much as I think like just seeing two good characters together is just like very satisfying, I also think that these types of stories lend themselves more towards the idea that you don't even know what to do with your own life and limbs, and like you're just young and dumb and you just want to like find answers to questions, and that's more so what's on your mind than pursuing any type of relationship here or there. It's more so about the exploration of life and being inspired by all these crazy new things you're seeing for the first time because you're young and new. That's more so the mentality I like to go for in these types of movies, and looking at it through that lens, I had never once, like our one viewing of the film, I'd never once thought anything too homosexual was going on in the film, because I was just like, regardless of whether it is or isn't, I just want to see how this plays out and see how these characters interact with each other and what their relationship eventually grows into or is implied to grow into. I'd rather see that escalate on its own than try to throw my own thing in there until I've seen the whole film. But going back and then like trying to think about everything in the film in the context of what if this could have been a metaphor for, what would you say, the metaphor for going through the I guess the gay experience, just like the coming out and the found family and all these things. If the film was a huge metaphor for that, I think that's an incredible thing that they kind of quote unquote snuck in there for like this big Pixar movie, but not trying to make it the big Pixar movie, like the big blockbuster, like I said, but it's still a Pixar film, and it's still beautiful, and it still was seen by a lot of people.
Yeah.
So that's really, really, really interesting.
Yeah. The way that I look at it is that I don't see that the writers of the movie were trying to do that and like make, all these like different allusions to the gay experience. I don't think that was like their goal to model that, but they borrowed from it in a way to explain what it feels like to be different and to find your true self. Because there's actually, I'm kind of thinking through this now, there's actually a couple points that argue against it being a gay film, or maybe contradict that argument, in the sense that, so the parents, they didn't want LUCA to go up to be humans. So like in that sense, the illusion there would be like they don't want him to be gay and all that.
I wouldn't say that it represents specifically being gay. I think being on land represents the unknown, like not knowing what kind of world they would fall into if they follow that path.
Yeah.
Because what do the parents know about land, really?
Yeah.
Just what they've heard.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good point. The part that it kind of breaks down a little bit is the humans then like having that same hatred towards the sea monsters. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not sure if I can articulate it fully right now.
I mean, like, I think I see what you mean. Like, if, like, the monsters are equating, like, land and humans to being gay, and the gays hate the sea monsters, and I think it's supposed to be, like, a bit of that, but also, like, just sticking with the whole, like, oh, they're just homophobic.
Well,
Yeah.
I wouldn't even really say it's specifically homophobic in the sense that it's, like, that specific. I wouldn't even really say that it's, like... If the analogy here is just that humans represent... I guess in this film, humans represent the gay community.
But
Yeah.
not entirely, because not all of the
Yeah. It's like it's not as one-sided as I feel like heterosexuality and queerness is.
Right.
Yeah.
I feel like that's like kind of like a one-sided, like there's a different and there's a normal.
Right.
Where I feel like in this film there's two differents,
Mhm.
like, and so they kind of don't like each other in a way.
Yeah, because, like, what's it called? There's a really interesting moment at the end when they say, oh, we're not afraid of you, and evil Vespa boy says, no, but we're afraid of you. And I feel like that's a really interesting point to kind of pull out, is that, like, even, like, whether you're gay or, whoever, whatever you identify as, or even, like, where you're born, not everyone always appreciates that. And even if you're not afraid of them, they might be afraid of you, and that could be dangerous. And I felt like that was kind of a really interesting moment
Yeah.
to have in there. It's just, like, it doesn't always matter if you're not afraid, they're afraid.
Yeah.
That's a whole other issue.
Yeah. That's a interesting part of the movie. Like that line where, what's the villain's name?
No idea. I don't know.
Mustache boy.
But
Yeah,
he
the
was
must-
great.
Evil.
He was hilarious.
Evil, angry, piss baby Italian boy. When he says like, I don't care if you're not afraid of us, we're afraid of you. Like,
Yeah.
it's a really strange line that I think highlights that weird, like, relationship or dynamic between the two.
Yeah.
It's like, it highlights the fact that there's not like a normal, there's not this like one-sided like fear. It's both are supposed to be afraid of each other.
Yeah. And, like, what's it called? And I think all of it ties back into what you were talking about, Marshaun. It's less, like, obviously you can equate it to, like, queerness, but overall, I think it's all the fear of the unknown. And something that broad you can easily, like, put in, like, things like, oh, it's about queerness.
It's about homosexuality, or it's about racism.
Yeah.
It can be anything, because it's really just about the uncertainty.
The uncertainty and, like, the neglect you can face when being seen as quote-unquote different.
Right. And like I said before about it being a personal, more intimate story, it doesn't feel like it's trying to be like this broad story of not being accepted. It feels like it's very specific to these characters and their particular way of going about the whole sea monster experience. We never really get to learn a lot about the world in the sense of, like, why do humans hate the sea monsters so much? Is it just because they look scary?
Probably.
If that's the simple answer, well, then I feel like that's most likely a metaphorical... That right there is meant to be a metaphorical thing. Because these films are so well thought out, they wouldn't just throw something like that in there without it meaning something deeper for the world. Like, Pixar has always been great at world building and telling us what we need to know about this surrounding. And I don't feel like these two quote-unquote clans, these two parties, the sea monsters and the humans, would hate each other so much, or be distrusting of each other so much without some kind of prior situation, unless it was literally just there for metaphorical purposes to be used as a catalyst for something else. But I could be wrong there. Maybe it's just set dressing.
And, like, I don't know, I'm all for, like, representation and, you know, having queers in the media. This is the way, I'm sorry, I'm stuttering a lot, which is making this sound like it's going to be a lot worse than it is now. I'm very, very big and happy whenever there's, like, queer representation. But I also appreciate the fact that this is so broad that it can be relatable to more than just the queers. Like you said, it could be relatable in terms of racism. And what was I gonna say? I also, like, even though, like, Luca and Alberto do have what very much feels like a queer relationship, like, if you want to see it from a more platonic side, that's also positive, because having positive representation of healthy male friendships, I feel like, is also very important.
True.
So, whether you're looking at it as queer or not, I feel like it's okay.
It's still a good movie.
It's still a good movie.
It's still relatable.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that a lot, that point of, like, if people do see this as platonic, that's almost, like, I would argue is, like, almost as progressive of, you know, stance or a perspective as it being, like, a gay movie. Because it shows a more, you know, like
she said,
sensitive
healthy relationships.
Sensitive side of masculinity that's not very, like, that's not explored as often as it should be.
Right.
For sure.
It's like, well, yeah, it's just a good movie for people who feel different, and like you said, that progressiveness of just showing healthy relationships, that's also pretty strong. Yeah. It's just really, really a good direction for films to be headed, where it's just like, young boys are allowed to feel things. You're allowed to have close friends. You're allowed to feel certain things. You're allowed to just enjoy being alive and live your life. And you don't have to live to some kind of standard of masculinity. Just be who you are. It's a good film for that.
A metaphor that I actually saw in the movie that we haven't really talked about was, like, it could be a symbol of someone that wants to pursue being, like, an artist or a creative.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you know, wanting to... There's a lot of, like, fear in... there can be fear sometimes in, like, parents that... Or, you know, people that are, like, worried that, like, how are you going to find success in that? And, like, you know, people trying to guide you in other directions.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's also a way you could look at it. It's like career and stuff.
Yeah, for sure. Like, just going against the norm. Yeah, like getting a degree in art. Or just, like, studying something that isn't seen as very productive in your family. Like, just the arts in general gets a lot of hate for that. And yeah, it can be a bit intimidating to go down that line, especially if you know you have people in your life who don't agree with that decision.
Good point.
So yeah, very versatile movie. I really like it.
Yes.
Go see Luca.
Definitely go see Luca. It's so good. It's so wholesome. You will have a good time regardless of how you interpret it. Just have fun. It's a fun movie.
Watch it, dummy.
Watch it.
What are you doing listening to this podcast? Go watch it.
Go watch it and then come back. Even though we already spoiled it all. Go watch it again.
We should put a little warning at the beginning that says we should probably watch it.
We didn't spoil it all. We talked about key moments.
I mean, I feel like at this point it's pretty self-explanatory that our reviews are always spoilerific.
True.
And directionless.
And directionless. Very directionless. True. But yes. Also, sorry for the long wait. We've been moving and doing life things.
Yes.
But
we are in a different place.
yes, we are recording in a completely different place now. But we will be back to our regularly scheduled, sort of kind of once a month podcast, maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Back to a regularly scheduled bullshit.
Yeah! Oh, we should make that a shirt.
I'm working on the design right now.
Nice. But yeah, do you guys have any closing thoughts about the movie? Anything in particular you would like to share?
No. I very much enjoyed the movie, and I would advise that other people go watch it. Just throwing a quick question out there. Do you guys think there would / could be a sequel to this movie?
Okay. I'm gonna answer that the same way that I answered that question about Inside Out. I think a sequel could work if they almost treat it like the Toy Story movies in a way, where like each movie is a new installment of a new chapter of growing up and the new experience you feel. Like in Inside Out, like the new movie could be about like being a teenager and just dealing, because like she turned 13 at the end of the movie, so dealing with that could be a whole thing. For a LUCA and Alberto, but a LUCA sequel I could see being
Called LUCA and Alberto.
yeah.
LUCA and Alberto, the gays.
yes, where they finally explore their gay relationship. It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be like Footloose, but with mermaids.
Yeah.
At the end of the movie, they adopt children. That'll be great.
Yes. Oh my God. Yes, and they can promote adoption. Yes. And not just of babies, they'll adopt just a whole ass teenager. But anyway, yeah, like that could be a whole part of just like, oh, like maybe they're grown up now and now they're just trying to figure out where to go, what to do. Maybe they do get the Vespa and go explore the world, or maybe they find that they want to do other things with their life. Like, I feel like a LUCA sequel is possible. I just feel like they'd have to treat it with the same grace and respect as they did with this and take the Frozen approach, which is not rewriting anything, just continuing the story.
Right. Yeah, I think if they did continue the story, personally, I think they would probably focus on a different character. I'd be interested if they focused on Julia's character, because I feel like she's a character that in this movie that didn't get a lot of progression. Not in a bad way, but...
Well, I mean, she got to put a stop to stupid boys' fucking reign of terror.
Yeah, it's true.
We're professionals.
Stupid boy.
Stupid boys.
Stupid boys.
Mother.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah. The stupid little bitch boy.
But anywho, that's my closing statement.
Cool.
Marshaun, do you have thoughts on the sequel?
Well, like I was saying about... Well, I've said it before. Like 2 or 3 times now, but I think the intimacy of the story is really, really special. I like the idea that it is a self-contained, like, snippet of someone's life. Excuse me. So, not to say that a sequel couldn't happen and that I wouldn't watch it, because I absolutely would. I'd love to see anything else they do with these characters in this world, with this palette, with this writing team. because there were so many like really good visual jokes. There were so many like just silly little moments in the film that like really tickled me. I would be super excited to see a sequel, but I think I'm happy just knowing that this is what it is, and enjoying it for that like little experience I had in my life that I'll think about fondly later.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's all for me. I'm content.
Healy. Yeah. Yeah, no. Great movie. Definitely gonna watch it again. It was just such a good time. It was such a good time.
Agreed.
Yeah, I think it's a staple Pixar movie.
I think I want a copy of it in my house. When I was little, I'd go to my aunt's place and she always had like this wall of DVDs that I'd look at and read. I was like 5 or 6. And Jurassic Park always stood out to me because I really liked the titles and everything. But my favorite movie at the time was Toy Story 2, and I would always see it on the DVD rack, and I'd come to her place and like run over to the DVD rack and pull that out. Like, I want to watch this. That's the kind of feeling I have for Luca. Like, I'm like, I want Luca in my house so I can just be like, it's been a lame day. I want to pick up this DVD and watch Luca.
Yeah, definitely a feel-good movie. You can watch anytime, whether you're sad or happy, with friends or yourself or your cat or your dog or your lizard.
Or your little demon spawn.
Yeah!
Also known as a cat, but you know.
Speaking of, where's Buster?
Busted.
Buster the cat, new member of the podcast.
Oh yeah, we got Buster the cat. He's technically our roommate's cat, but he's not here right now. So, Buster's ours.
Yeah, he doesn't make much noise, so I don't know if it counts as a member, actually.
He's not a very...
We'll shake him. We'll shake the noise out of him.
Yeah!
He better come back next week when we shake a cat.
Where he at? Buster! That's why he's not here right now. He knows we'd shake him. Well, actually, I think he was here earlier.
He was. He was behind you, and then he
That's right.
sauntered into the kitchen.
That's right. So he was here. He counts. He counts.
Yes.
But yeah. So I think that's... Are you...
I'm just looking for him.
Okay. So Chris, how are you?
Oh, I'm good. How are you?
I'm grand.
Okay, he's not down here, so he's probably in our room.
Okay.
Buster the cat.
Are you gonna go get him?
No, I'm not gonna go get him.
Oh, okay, cool.
I'll come down here with so many holes in my hand.
Yeah, he's a vicious little bean. Anyway, but yeah, I think that's about all we have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Alright, thanks for listening, y'all. We'll get back to our regularly scheduled programs. I've posted a lot of videos recently. Don't forget to check out these guys. Let us know if you have any video suggestions or movie suggestions. Marshaun attacked me. And yeah, thanks so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.